this can't be a 6 or 7-year-old girl in a doll. This is something demonic, or this is something nefarious.
I don't want to touch a single freaking thing in here.
That's probably the worst thing we have in this whole museum. This is not a building that you should be in after 9 o'clock at night.
This doll is real. The demon that in this doll is real.
He had picked up the doll, and something so terrible occurred to that man that he resigned from the police department 3 months later.
For 40 years, Ed and Lorraine Warren have committed their lives to the study and teaching of paranormal activity in its multitude of forms. Their research has inspired numerous national best-selling books and has spawned such Hollywood films as The Exorcist and Amityville Horror. Lorraine, a light trance medium, and Ed, an avid investigator of anything which hails from the netherworld, spend their lives trying to identify the unknown, patrolling the supernatural realm and investigating unexplained phenomena occurring worldwide.
Okay, ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is up, guys? We are here with another episode of Beyond the Dark, and we got Seth Borden here with us.
What up, guys?
It's been a little while.
It's been a minute.
Oh, God.
But we're back.
We're back. We're excited. I don't even know how to say where we are. I'm just nervous.
I don't think they're ready.
Guys, we are at the Warren Museum. The Warren Occult Museum. The museum that Ed and Lorraine Warren literally took all their haunted artifacts from all their ghost investigations they had done around the world and put it all into this house right here.
It is here in a tightly secured museum attached to the offices of the New England Society for Psychic Research that Ed tends his collection of mystic items. Each comes with its own story and each its own intent. It is only through a diversity of religious blessings and cleansing ceremonies that their power is kept at bay. Ed's knowledge of paranormal science is vast, and his expertise vital to the cases in which he and Lorraine have been involved.
So obviously the museum's closed, no one can be here, and it just feels good that we have been invited to come here. I mean,
Yeah,
dude,
it does.
are we ghost hunters now? Is this how we get to become actual ghost hunters? To be invited to see the actual Annabelle doll?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So we're real ghost hunters now. Before we were ghost hunters, but now we're the realest OG ghost hunters because we're here. We're about to go see the Annabelle doll. We're about to go interview Tony, which is their relatives or they're somehow related to them. We're gonna figure that out when we go inside. But we're gonna be face to face to the real Annabelle doll. And apparently if you look at Annabelle in the eyes, you can get burns.
Like in your...
Yeah, apparently you can't look at him for too long. You can catch on fire. A lot of people say all the legends and rumors of this doll. I don't know, but are we gonna get bad luck? Some people say you look at Annabelle in the eyes and then you have bad luck.
We're gonna try all of it.
We're gonna try all of it. Now there is a lot of history in this place. This place is full of some of the most haunted artifacts around the world. So haunted that they're protected in glass cases. You can't touch them, you can only look at them. So we're gonna try to get the story of every single artifact here, learn about this place and the museum and the people here, and just go with the flow. Let's just see how this goes, guys.
All right.
One thing I wanna talk about is we deserve to be here, and that's because we did the Conjuring House so many times. We were the first YouTubers to ever go there. Like, everyone kind of knows each other. I just feel like this is like the pinnacle, like this is where we have to be. We had to finally come here to see the doll since we've done the Conjuring House. This was the last thing we had to do.
It's true.
It's true, we had to be here.
And you know what? It's been about 2 years in the making. I'm glad that we're finally showing up. About to take on some of the most haunted objects in the entire world.
Looks kind of creepy though, from the outside.
Yeah, it does.
You wouldn't think this is where the Annabelle doll is.
No, it kind of just looks like a regular house, right?
Yeah. I guess it's right there. Paranormal Research Center. I see the sign. Dude, I'm shaking.
Me too.
I'm shaking. Also, I'm shaking so hard that you gotta go check out the merch. Link in the description down below. We got the cool shorts, we got the cool shirt, and it's all about The Grudge. So, oh, check out the back too. Yup. Check it out, link in the description down below, riseabove.shop. Let's go.
All right, so who's going in first? Is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be me? Which one of us wants to be possessed first?
I don't know. Paranormal Research Center. The Warrens right there. Oh my God. Dude, I don't know. You wanna go first?
I'm kind of scared.
Dang, all right, well, let's just hop in. Let's
If
just
something bad happens, at least it happens to you.
the first one.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, guys. Hey guys.
Hey, Josh, how are you?
Wow, this is
man?
epic. This is really exciting
doing?
to be here. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Seth.
Nice
How's
to
it
meet
going?
you.
How's it going?
Good. Just, you know, Dan Rivera, Chris Galoran, me, Tony Spur, and of course.
Nice.
Nice to
So
meet
hey,
you
I'm
guys.
glad you guys made it.
This is really cool.
So this is the Warrens Occult Museum, as you know, and it's been around since like 1950s, since the 50s when Ed started the New England Society for Psychic Research. Because he and Lorraine were out doing all these investigations, people are saying, "Geez, I gotta get rid of this haunted object. It's ruining my life. It's screwing everything up in our lives. Take this off my hands, will you, Mr. Warren?" And he would take it. But when he first started to do it, he would stuff all the stuff in a 33 Chevy that we have. That was his car. And finally he said to Lorraine one day, we got to start collecting stuff and gather it and put it on display so people can see it. And why don't we just create a museum and a society? And that's what he did. He said, we got all these photographs. We had all these case files that we handwritten notes. We got all these open reel tapes, and let's just make a society. And they came up with New England Society for Psychic Research, and over the years they gathered all of these haunted objects.
Plus we added on to it too.
And people send us stuff all the time because what happens? They'll buy a doll, for instance. Never had a problem in their life. They buy a doll that night or the next morning. There's phenomena going on in the house, like they see shadows, their names being called out, maybe being grabbed and touched. And they immediately, which I would too, attribute it to the doll they bought the night before, or whatever artifact they might have bought at a tag sale or a thrift store or wherever.
Right.
Ouija boards, satanic books, Bibles.
Some have had satanic rituals done over them, or witchcraft rituals done over them, incantations, and either given to a store or just somebody gave it to someone else and phenomena followed it.
Right. So even on accident, you might go to an antique store, you like this object, you bought it, and then you didn't know it was haunted, and it could have just ruined your life.
Many times that's exactly what happens. That's how a lot of these objects came to be. Like Annabelle, which you'll see in a little while.
Yeah. Really quick before we get right back in the Warren Museum, I want to show off the merch. We got the Grudge shirts right here. Got the whole set. I'm rocking the whole set. And by the way, good quality shorts, good quality shirt. You already know. Obviously, it's October, so we're going to be getting into some more merch. I am getting the official pre-orders for the Ghost Halloween merch. It's called the Ghostface Halloween hoodie, literally. It's super epic. Here's a picture of what it looks like right here. Guys, I have a Patreon account, and pretty much these are expensive. The ghost videos we are filming, the airplane tickets, the hotel costs, the food costs, this costs a lot of money. So I have a Patreon, link in the description down below. I have different tiers. If you want us help, any dollar helps. It helps these videos that you guys are watching. I make no money from this. It literally goes right back into the production, so that means a lot. I also have a second channel. It is called Just Josh and You, and I have a third channel that I upload every other day on, from old videos to some new videos that's abandoned only, and that is called Exploring with Josh Lost Files. Thank you guys so much for the support. Check out the Instagram, check out the Twitter. And really quick, I almost forgot, these are my new stickers. Exploring with Josh Biohazard stickers. Literally, I'm rocking the NAR Dreamland purple hoodie. It's super sick, so get those right now. You already know, riseabove.shop. Peace!
So Josh, a lot of these objects are going to be on display at the Phantasmicon that you're coming to.
Yep. It's
going to be at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut on October 28th, 2023. And we're going to have you, of course. We're going to have...
Seth is going to also be joining us.
Seth. And we're going to have the Overnight crew. You know,
we know Overnight.
And we're going to have Jason Hawes. A lot of guest celebrities.
Oh, yeah, all the people. Jason.
A lot of guest celebrities are coming. Ronnie LeBlanc, Rob Thompson, Nick Pope. Just a lot of people. Corey and Satori.
Yeah.
And, we're having Eugenie Bondurant from The Conjuring 3. She was at the end of that movie.
Oh, that's
We're having a lot of. So if you want tickets, nespr.ticketbud.com. It's selling pretty fast. So when you see Josh's video here, just, you know.
Yeah, well, Lincoln's going to be in the description down below, so you can just literally scroll down, hit the description, you'll see the tickets. You can just click on that, so you don't have to type it all out.
Right.
Plus, we'll be there. We'll have a booth. You'll be able to see us, me and Seth, so it's going to be a great time. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah, and they're going to talk about a lot of their experiences, too, right?
Oh, of course.
And take photos with the fans, of course.
Yep. And the Annabelle doll is going to be there.
Annabelle's going to be there. The Shadow doll is going to be there. The Satanic Worship Idol is going to be there. The dinosaur from Conjuring 3 movie and the book The Devil in Connecticut is going to be there. The real dinosaur toy. So
you have a lot to see.
It's going to be a fun time. It's going to
be,
what we have here, though, is just representations of course, the famous Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren. Lorraine always used to wear kilts. Always. And I'd say she had about 40 or 50 kilts that she got in Scotland. And when she used to go over to the UK with Ed, maybe 25 times. And every time she went over there, she'd buy 1 or 2 kilts, you know.
That's amazing.
And she'd buy the scarves to match. She always looked perfect. And Ed always wore safari-type jacket. Why did he do that? Not to look tough. First of all, he just liked the style of safari, but it was the pockets. He used to keep holy water in this pocket and a flashlight in this pocket and maybe, who knows, a blank cassette or something in one of the pockets. He always, and his glasses. He always had holy water. That was like a staple. It's like his sidearm was holy water. Here is
crazy.
This is going to be at the. You can take an up close picture with it at the Paracon. For those who bought the ticket or are going to buy tickets for the museum entry, that's the Shadow doll. Now, Josh.
Yeah, can you elaborate on the Shadow doll?
It's a dangerous object simply because it was built and made, first of all, to look like that. I mean, who would make a doll that looks so ugly, right?
It looks evil.
Doesn't it look evil?
Yeah.
It's got a human tooth sticking out of the mouth. It's got animal bone right down there. It's got bird feathers for hair. Chain, nails sticking out of it, right?
Yeah.
So
you see here was made through black magic rituals. It's called a Doll of Shadows. Now, why is it called a Doll of Shadows? We'll take a look at it. It has human bones here and there and animal parts all over the body. You notice the nails in here and the tooth sticking out. Well, these are all feathers from crows and whatever. But this, I can tell through psychometry and through how it was made, that it was made with evil purposes.
The amazing part about this is it was in the back of a old antique store, just sitting there. A young couple, probably your age, and a girl came in and they wanted something antique. And now, don't ask me why, they bought this. And as soon as they bought it, they started to feel bad vibes coming from it. They got rid of it. They called Ed Warren, said, hey, Mr. Warren, we don't like this object. There's some kind of bad vibe. Ed knew exactly what it was when he got it. It's called a Shadow doll. And what people do who are knowledgeable, they take this doll, they take a photograph of it. And when I say knowledgeable, I mean a sorcerer,
right,
a wizard, someone who's into the black arts. They would take that, they would take a photograph of it, boom, print it out on their printer. Then they would, on the back of the print, they would put the curse that they want to whoever they want to send this picture to. So in other words, say, Josh, I didn't like you for whatever reason.
Right.
I got a grudge against you and I'm knowledgeable in the black arts. I turn the picture over, I write the curse, whatever it is, and I put it in an envelope, I mail it to you. Just by you accepting the mail, pulling it out, not even looking on the back, not even seeing the curse, you accepted the curse that went with that photo. And the intention is to make you sick, or whatever their intention from the curse was. Could be to make you sick, could make you lose all your money, could make you lose your job, or even get sick and die. Whatever
Right.
how bad they didn't like you, depends on the curse, right? That's what that was invented for. They gave it to Ed Warren, and Ed kept it in the case here. And he told me it's one of the most dangerous objects in here besides Annabelle, which is, we think, the most dangerous.
Wow.
So come on over here, guys. I want to show you some more stuff.
Do you know like where it was, like the street or anything, or that
No,
comes too far?
and if I
back,
did, I
right?
couldn't tell you
Yeah,
because
facts.
he wouldn't want to be inundated with,
Yeah.
you know. Over here is the infamous White Lady of Union Graveyard. Have you ever heard of the White Lady of Union Cemetery?
No, this is all new for me.
Okay, there's a book out called Graveyard by Ed and Lorraine Warren. And why they even wrote this book is because Ed got a phone call from a gentleman by the name of Rod Vesey. Very nice young man back in 1990. And Rod was driving home from Home Depot at about 1:45 in the morning where he worked. He's driving home. He's going down Route 59 in Easton, Connecticut. He's driving down Route 59 about 1 o'clock in the morning. It's a September evening, crisp, cool, and clear. As he's driving, he feels something, he senses something in his passenger side of his car. He goes like this and he sees an older man dressed with a crumply hat and a stubbly beard. Guy was about 60s. And he said he had like a 1940s suit on, an old crumply suit, just staring straight ahead. Now Rod does one of these, which I would probably done. He does a double take, like the guy's gone instantly. He looks back at the road. About 35 yards up from Rod, in the road, was this lady dressed all in white with a veil. And she's standing in the road and she goes like this, with her hand slowly raises, almost like to stop him from driving. He said, well, she was far enough away where I could just apply my brakes and stop. So he applies his brakes, and as he does so, he was only going about 30. It's like she jumped forward like this and went right through his car.
Jeez.
And a wisp of wind went right by his right ear. And he said as soon as the wind went by his ear, he felt this intense emotion of sorrow for her, for whatever this spirit was. And he looks at the road, and in his side only, for about 300 or 400 feet, the road looks like somebody took a red paintbrush and painted that whole side of the road red. What does it mean? Was she killed by a car or something? I don't know.
Wow.
But she's been spotted. Before Rod saw her in 1990, she was spotted in the 50s, 40s,
Wow.
by the Barberi brothers up in behind the house, on a farmhouse that they lived as children. They saw this specter of a woman walking through the gravestones. She's been spotted so many times I can't tell you. Hundreds of times she's been spotted by people who said, I saw this white lady walking across the road or at the side of Route 59 near the graveyard. Nobody knows who she is.
So is this like a representation of what he's seen, or
Yeah,
is this
that's,
object?
That's a representation of what he saw. It's just a model. Of
Yes.
course.
Yeah.
Let me show you this over here. This is a conjuring mirror over here, guys.
Conjuring mirror.
Now, any mirror can be a conjuring mirror.
Right.
Any shiny object can be a conjuring object. They call it crystallomancy, or they call it scrying. So what it is a shiny object. A spirit can find it very easy to manifest itself and show its image on a shiny object, such as a mirror, crystal ball, for instance, a bumper of a car, plate glass window, doesn't matter. A spirit finds it simpler to do that and show the reflection on like a TV set that's off.
Yep.
This young man, who was about 17 years old at the time, from New Jersey. I know you New Jersey people out there are a little crazy sometimes. He was, not you guys.
Yeah.
He used to sit in front of this mirror with all the lights off, and he would take darkening shades against the window. So if he didn't have a light on, you could not see your hand in front of you.
Right.
But what would he do? He'd sit here in front of the mirror, and then behind him he'd have a small bulb like this red bulb here, say 10, 20 watts. He would have it behind his chair, so he could just barely see the mirror.
Oh, I
And then he would look at the mirror and he would beckon spirits to come, his family, his old relatives, his grandparents and stuff. He wanted to see them again because they died early. He would say, Grandma, Grandpa, come on, I want to see your face. 2 weeks he did this for like 2.5, 3 hours a day. That's how obsessed he was.
That same one? That's the mirror.
That mirror right there. So nothing happened for like 2 weeks. One day though, monstrosities, faces of monstrosities started to come through the mirror and appear to him. It drove this guy nuts because they were so scary to him. He had to seek mental health treatment.
Wow.
For that. Now, could you do the same thing? Could you do the same thing? In the audience, can you do the same thing? Yeah. What you're doing when you do that is you're giving it a lot of recognition. You're asking the spirit realm to show themselves to you. And you're providing a means for them to do so, which would be the shiny object. That's something you don't want to do. Because when you draw in spirits that way, no matter who you're asking for, it doesn't mean that that's the spirit that's going to come through. If you say, Uncle Sal, come through, Aunt Josephine, come through, a spirit can come through, but it doesn't mean it's going to be your Aunt Josephine. It could you're playing a random act. You're playing like Russian roulette with the spirit realm.
Okay.
It's like taking a revolver, and I put a bullet in it, and I spin it and go, put that up to your head, Josh. Pull the trigger. Don't worry, nothing bad's going to happen to you.
Right.
Maybe it's a blank. Maybe
it could be a
cylinder.
blank, but it could be bad.
Or it could be the shot that kills you.
Right.
So you're going, Aunt Ruth, come on through. Aunt Sally, come on through. And it could be a devil that comes through, but becomes as your Aunt Sally.
Right.
You invited in the devil unknowingly. You think you're now Aunt Sally, boy, it's look at her face, it's her.
But it's not. So I have a question. So I've done these in the past, and sometimes it looks like my face would melt. What do you think that means? Could just be from...
It could be an optical illusion, or it could be a spirit messing with you. Too.
Okay, yeah, because I've done these in the past. You've done it with me too, remember?
Yeah, we actually...
What you guys did is you drew spirits to you unknowingly, but nothing happened.
Yeah, because they didn't want us.
You know what the good thing is about that? It's random. Anybody who's familiar with this book by John Fuller, The Ghost of Flight 401, this is one of the most documented cases of an apparition showing itself, probably in history almost, because this flight, L1011 Eastern Airlines flight, went down in the Everglades in 71, 72, I can't remember, in the 70s. It went down the Everglades in Florida, and it crashed. And there were some survivors, though. Not everybody perished. But the flight navigator, Don Repo, died. His spirit showed up on other planes that used spare parts from the original crash. Because Eastern Airlines went down to the Everglades, and they said, grab anything, let's clean up all the stuff, but anything that's usable, we're going to reuse, like the galley cart. Oh, the galley cart's okay, the seats are okay. The flight recorder, we're going to use it on another plane. They were trying to be, like, economical.
So he had a connection now to the
He had a connection to every part on the plane.
Right.
It was spotted. He was spotted by the co-pilot, the pilot, the stewardesses or the airline flight attendants, the passengers, to the point where Eastern Airlines finally said, we can't have this anymore. Take all those parts that we used on this L1011 plane and take them off.
Wait,
as soon as they took them off, yeah, they did. They took them off, and the apparitions, the visions stopped. But this is a weird part. This is the part that's going to crack you up. Ed is in his office one day, gets a knock at the door. Lorraine comes in and says, "Hey, some college kids want to see you. Okay, you got time?" Yeah, let him in. They brought him pieces of the wreckage that they found in the Everglades. They went down to look. This is the actual wreckage of the Flight 1011, one of them. What? Honest to God. Here's another piece.
Dude.
Wow.
There's a number written on it too. And it actually says SS 1011, SS 1011.
Wow,
if you want to see it. Insane. And so they gave him this. Ed, we went down to the Everglades, and guess what we found? You want them for your museum?
Rare.
And he took it, right?
So they took the haunted objects.
But that's not the end of the story, though, because I'd say within several days of this happening, Ed was out. I think he was doing a lecture with Lorraine. It was a rainy night. He comes home, he pulls in a driveway, and underneath the tree he sees this guy standing there with a flight engineer hat, flight engineer raincoat.
Oh no.
And he's like this.
Like,
And then he
look at me.
vanished. It was Don Repo,
Dang.
the guy, the flight navigator.
What?
Honest to God. And Ed, and I said, I had Ed, because Ed told me the story. I had Ed swear on the staff. I said, Ed, do you swear to God, you know, on your family that that really happened? He goes, Tom, why am I going to make a story up like that? I saw Don Repo, and then he vanished and never saw him again. Like a warning. These are called the pearls of death.
Ooh, I love pearls.
Yeah. So they were once attached, and you just put them on like that. A woman put these on, was given these pearls by whoever, I don't know who gave them to her. As soon as she put them on, it felt like somebody took the pearls, twisted them, and started strangling her and she was strangling to death. They had to break the pearls off of her to free her.
What?
Honest to God.
Pearls
Right.
of death.
I like pearls, but I don't
Pearls-
like those
pearls
ones.
like
Yeah.
It's actually crazy.
There's a lot of little things here, like this brick here from the Borley Rectory. Anybody who's familiar with England that knows that England is one of the most haunted places. They don't call it the Mystical Isles for nothing, right? They don't. I went there with Ed several times, and we went to Borley Rectory, which is near Sudbury, England. We went to the rectory, to the church. The rectory had burned down way back when. This is an actual brick from the Borley, and stone from the Borley Rectory. Most haunted house in England, and that's for sure, it really is. But what I really want to show you guys, over here, a bunch of dolls, right?
Yeah.
Innocent dolls.
Yeah. We're looking at all these.
But they're not that innocent, because I've gotten calls from people who they were like freaked out when they would purchase one of these. One lady purchased like 6 or 7 different dolls, small ones, and she had horrible experiences happen to her right after purchasing the dolls. She said, how do I get rid of them, she says. I said, well, if you want to send them to me, don't throw them in the garbage, because you throw them in the garbage and somebody else can pick them up. Right. We'll have them blessed by a Catholic priest, which we did, and then we'll keep them in safe keeping in the museum, which we do. All of these were sent by people who had a problem. And this, of course, is a crucifix. What's the difference between a cross and a crucifix, you might wonder? A cross does not have the image of Jesus Christ. Crucifix has the image of Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm learning.
This was made by Mike Salerno, a friend of ours, which he'll probably be at I think he's going to be at the Phantasmicon this October 28th, and he's going to be selling these handmade special wood, and he engrains it with a special engraving.
That's really cool. I want one.
Yep. Oh yeah, these are nice. He gave me one, and
awesome.
he gave me this one too. That's awesome. And
yeah, we need to get
look how nice that is.
Well, maybe
He makes
we can
bigger
get
ones.
one at
Yeah.
the Paracon.
Josh,
We're gonna get one at the Paracon.
he makes bigger ones and he makes smaller ones. Mike Salerno.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, maybe I'll get one at the con.
Yeah, you're gonna like these.
Yeah.
And this is a protective measure. These are blessed by a Catholic priest, and we
Right,
keep it
yeah.
right here. He hasn't blessed them, then we bless them. So there you go. And this here is the fire doll. There was a house that burned. The house had burned down, and when they went in to get the rubble and everything, only one object didn't burn. And can you guess what the object was? It didn't
doll?
burn. This doll. So we called it the fire doll. This case was made by Dan Rivera. He's our senior lead investigator. Dan made this case. He made the dinosaur case, which I'm going to show you, and he also made the Annabelle case, which if you want to talk to him about it, special precautions were taken when he made this travel case. This is the actual case we're going to bring to the Phantasmicon in Mohegan Sun. I'm going to tell you guys something. Not that many people have seen the doll in person. A lot of people online, of course, have seen it, but in person, it looks like a regular Raggedy Ann doll. That's the frightening part about it. This here scares me. This one right here, Ed. The Raggedy Ann doll.
Yes, that's probably the worst thing we have in this whole museum. That Raggedy Ann doll was given to a nurse in 1970 by her mother as a Christmas present. But as most girls do, even 28 years old, she would take the doll to bed with her, wrap her arm around, and go to sleep. I do the same thing with a pillow.
It was bought in a thrift store. by a mother of a nurse. The nurse was about 28 years old who received it for her birthday. And you know what? The nurse liked dolls. I mean, a lot of women like dolls, just like men like cars or whatever. Women like to play with dolls or have them. So the mother thought it would be nice to buy her daughter a big doll. This doll is about 2.5 feet high, you know, when it's standing. It doesn't stand on its own, but if I stood it up, it'd be 2.5 feet high.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
And she gets the doll, right? And she treats it like a regular doll, puts it on the couch. She said, I'm going to buy a bracelet for it. So she bought a little bracelet that says Anna on it.
That's the bracelet?
Yeah, that's the actual bracelet.
Oh my God.
So, here's what really happened. I mean, you saw the movie Annabelle, you'd know, or Conjuring 1, you'd know. There's another nurse that lived with her. There are 2 nurses that worked at Hartford Hospital as nurses on the 2nd shift. Very nice ladies, young women then. And she left it on the couch one day, and she goes to work with her other girlfriend to the nursing job. Comes home, the doll's now in the bedroom, lying on the bed. She goes, did you move the doll before we left? No, I didn't move the doll, Donna. So they don't think too much of it at that point. But it kept happening. They leave the doll on one end of the couch. They come home, it's on the other end of the couch. They leave the doll with the legs crossed. They come home, the legs are uncrossed. Now they're thinking, wait a minute. Maybe the superintendent is playing a trick on us. He was a young guy. Maybe he's trying to scare us, do a trick. So let's do something. Let's put tape on the bottom of the doorway, entranceway. Let's set the rug in just a way that we know if somebody walks in, it's going to move the rug. We'll know if somebody's been in this apartment.
Right.
So they did that. They come home that night. When they left, the doll's legs were uncrossed on the couch. They come home that night. Nothing's been disturbed. Tape is still there. The rug was still fine. The doll is now in a different location, and the legs that were uncrossed are now crossed. Now they're freaking out a little bit because several nights later, they found a piece of parchment paper, and written in crayon was the words, "Help us." What? The next night, another parchment paper with crayon, "Help me." And they looked at each other and said, what's going on here? We don't have any parchment paper or crayons in the house. What is this? All right, so one day they're at the breakfast nook. Now they're getting a little nervous though about this situation. They're at the breakfast nook, and they had the doll with them next to that. They always did. They sit it next to her having breakfast, Donna. See those 2 flimsy arms? It's all made of rags, right? It's called this Raggedy Ann doll, right? Those 2 flimsy arms levitated onto the table of the breakfast nook.
What?
And the girls looked at each other. They were intrigued. They were more intrigued than they were scared at this point. They're like, you know what? That doll's trying to tell us something. They were a little nervous still, but they were intrigued by what was happening too. And one of the nurses says to Donna, she says, I know a psychic. Why don't we have a seance and find out what this doll wants? That was her first mistake.
Jeez.
She says, yeah. No. She says, yeah. She says, yeah, I know a psychic. I'll have her come. And Donna says, okay, let's have a seance. That night they had a seance with the psychic. The psychic concentrates. First thing the psychic says, there was an accident outside your apartment. A young girl was hit and killed. She was about 7 years old. Her name is Annabelle. And she's in your doll. That's what she said.
What?
But the nurses believed it. Because it's a psychic after all. She knows
Right.
what she's talking about. She's our friend. She was that one girl's friend. So now they start calling her Annabelle. I think they bought the bracelet after and called it Anna. They can only find Anna. And so now they're really treating her like okay, this is just it's a human entity in there. That's why she's moving around the house. Everything's okay, you know. That's not what happened, because I'd say within 3 weeks, Lou, who was a fiance of Donna, he used to stay there a lot. He's lying on the couch sleeping. At the other end of the couch is Annabelle. Suddenly he wakes up with a start, and he's sweating. He's hyperventilating. He's like 28 years old, 29. Yeah. He's going like this, like that. What's the matter, Lou? What's the matter? He says, that doll. I just had the worst nightmare in the world of that doll. He goes, they said, what? I had a dream, a nightmare, that that doll was crawling up my leg and then finally got to my neck and was strangling me to death. And then he takes the doll off the couch, picks it up, and throws it across the room and says, that's just a Raggedy Ann doll. That can't hurt anybody. Just like that. When he did that, that's when the slashes happened. He had 7 slashes, 4 on his chest and 3 on his stomach. It looked like someone took a scalpel and made slits through his t-shirt, and you see the blood lines coming through. Now the girls panicked. They said to themselves, this can't be a 6 or 7-year-old girl in a doll. This is something demonic, or this is something nefarious. They were thinking to themselves. They called, what do we do? What do we do? Let's call Father Richard Nolan, Episcopal priest in Hartford. So they call him. He says, you know, I never dealt with that stuff before. I don't know what to tell you, but I know who can help you, Ed Warren.
Oh, yes.
The big guns.
Yeah.
Call the big boy.
And he did. They called Ed Warren and Lorraine. They came out and interviewed the girls, just like you saw in the Conjuring movie.
Yep.
Interviewed the girls, and they said, well, we don't want that doll, Mr. Warren. And they said, don't worry, it doesn't belong to here anyway now. But what you told me, this thing's got evil vibrations, evil attached to it. And he took it home with him and put it in this case. There's a lot more to this story, but we'll tell you more about it at another time, maybe at the Phantasmicon.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
But there's more to this story because people have been injured, people we believe have been killed by this doll. Once we put the doll in the case like this, we don't like to take it out. I think we've moved this doll maybe 3 times in 15 years. It was in this case back here. There's a case behind it. We'll show it to you in a minute.
Okay.
And Ed, that's a handwritten sign by Ed Warren. It says positively do not, and underneath it says do not open. We used to have it on the outside. Positively do not open. That's the actual case that was built so when he kept it here all the time.
Yeah. And then your buddy Dan made this bigger one?
Dan made this travel case, and I'll have you, when you interview Dan, ask him what he did to this case. Over here is one of the movie dolls.
Oh, yeah. Is that from the prop? The real?
Yeah, it's one of the screen used ones, but there's many of them. There's more than one. They used to, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 of them.
That's so fucking cool.
And they were in different iterations. In other words, some of the dolls' faces look a little more sinister.
Right.
There's certain scenes. You'd have to break it down and look close. Certain scenes. That's going to be at the Phantasmicon also in October.
Man, you guys got to come out to that con. Because
Yeah.
Not only are we going to be there, but you're going to get to see stuff like this.
And in person, I'm telling you, it looks way crazier than through this right here. So I'm just being honest.
You gotta be
Over here, Josh,
Yeah.
this is a real skull, you know, human skull.
Is it?
It's a real skull, used in satanic rituals. Oh. It was given to us by a former Satanist who now works in the area of religious demonology. He's converted from Satanism to this, to what Ed did, the study of demons and devils and how to fight them. He's a good guy. I think he's going to come to the Phantasmicon. I'll surprise you with the name later when he comes, because I'm not sure if he's coming or not.
All right.
Over here, look at it, and that's was used in satanic rituals.
What's the name of? What are you calling it? The nickname item? You have a name for it?
I just call it the satanic skull.
Right.
And you can see somebody wrote the pentagram in there. This
I can't believe that's a real skull.
It is a real skull. It's a human skull.
Yeah. Jesus.
This is Ed Warren's painting that he did on a table.
Is that the Conjuring House?
It's a haunted house, but it's not the Conjuring House.
Almost
it looks like the Conjuring House,
a little
doesn't
bit,
it?
yeah, right?
But I kind of think it's the Oceanborn Mary House in
Okay.
Henniker, New Hampshire. You guys can look that up, the audience. The Oceanborn Mary House. The Oceanborn Mary House is haunted, and that's the place that Lorraine Warren had her first out-of-the-body experience as a psychic. While she was talking, while Ed was talking to Mr. Roy, the caretaker, this is up in Henniker, New Hampshire. While he's talking to the caretaker, Lorraine went into a trance. And here's how it happened. Ed's talking to Mr. Roy, who took care of the home. That was it's unoccupied, except for him. And then he's talking to Mr. Roy. He glances back at Lorraine, Ed. And he's in his 20s now, remember. This is way back.
Wow,
and he looks at Lorraine and he goes, "Right, Lorraine?" And she's staring straight ahead like in a trance. He goes, "Lorraine, I'm talking to you," like that. She doesn't answer. She doesn't even look at him. Now Ed gets nervous. He goes, Mr. Roy, what the heck's wrong with my wife? Something's wrong. Mr. Roy calmly says, don't worry, Mr. Warren. That happens to psychics in this house, to clairvoyants in this house. Clairvoyance, he said. And Ed looks at him startled, like she's no clairvoyant, she's my wife.
Oh.
Ed didn't even know the term clairvoyant back then, and it was like 1950 something, 53 or something. A long, long time ago.
Can people still go to it?
People can it's occupied now, I think. I think somebody owns it, but you can drive by it or whatever. I'm not sure the street.
Maybe we're gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Question, real quick. Is this anything? Oh, this guy's spooky.
I almost missed that. That's a satanic worship idol. That's gonna be at the Phantasmicon also. This is
really freaky, man.
It's real freaky, is right. And here's what happened with this. This is really a weird story. A young hunter. His name was Eric. About 22 years old. How old are you?
30 now.
30. You're a lot old. He was 8 years younger than you. He was about 22. He was a bow and arrow hunter, and he hunted deer. He went into the woods in Sandy Hook. You ever heard of Sandy Hook?
I know Sandy Hook, yeah.
Sandy Hook, Connecticut. 1990 maybe, 89, 90. He goes into the woods to hunt deer. He's walking through the pathways. He gets lost. He doesn't know where he is. Finally, he stumbles upon this grotto of rocks that's elevated. A round circle of rocks with gravel and everything. On top of that is this thing. So when he's looking, it's about 7.5 feet high, 8 feet high. As it stands now, it's about, 6? But it's about 7.5 feet high, and it's made out of like a ceramic. Almost like you would make a cup out of ceramic or a plate. I'm not going to touch it. It's a satanic worship idol. So the kid sees it. This young man sees it. He sits down in front of the grotto like this, heart beating rapidly. He's like, man, this is scary. I don't know what the heck that thing is, but I got to get out of here, he says to himself. He stands up, starts to walk away from this idol. And as he's walking away from the idol, he doesn't know where he's going. He's on some pathway. He doesn't know where he is. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Josh, a man appears next to him to his right side, dressed all in black from head to toe. Snow white, short cropped beard, snow white hair, pulled back. He's about 70. Walking step for step with this young man, like as he walks along. Now the kid's freaking out, like where'd this guy come from? He looks over at the guy never looks back at him. He speaks to the man doesn't answer him. Finally he says, hey, can you tell me how to get out of here? The guy just keeps walking and goes like this, points to the right and walks off. And that's the last time you saw the guy. No, that's not the last time you saw it. The guy was waiting near his car. When he found his car on the parking on the road, the guy was standing near his car, just freaking the kid out. And the kid's like, I gotta go now, I gotta go. And he gets in the car and takes off. And the guy's looking at him while he's looking in the rearview mirror, staring at him. He gets home. He sees his friends. He's all shook up. They said, where is this thing? The kid says, it's in the woods of Sandy Hook. I don't know what to do about it, though. And he said, why don't you call Mr. Warren? He lives in Monroe, which is like the next town over. It's 2 towns over. Call Mr. Warren. Calls Ed and Lorraine both went out and met the kid on the street. Kid said, I think I can find the statue. Kid didn't know what it was. He called it a statue. Ed walks into the woods with the kid. They find it. Immediately Ed says, I know what that is, and I know what it's used for, and it doesn't belong here. That is a satanic worship idol used by Satanists who worship the devil. And the kid, Eric, told Eric about this man. Ed says, and I know who that guy is. He's a high priest in a satanic cult, and he's very dangerous. And I'm going to take that back with me. It doesn't belong in the woods. And Ed did. He loaded it up in the car with Lorraine and went and took it and put it in the museum right here.
Wow,
And that's not the end of the story, though. It's almost the end of the story, but it's not. Because Ed puts it in here. Not 3 days later, he's out almost where you parked your car is Lorraine. She's watering some flowers. About 75 feet up in the beginning of the driveway, Ed's changing the wipers on his car. Lorraine looks at him, waves, we'll go for lunch after this, Ed. Ed says, okay, yeah, good idea. And he starts to put the wipers together again. He just happens to glance back seconds later. He glances back. Lorraine is no longer there. She's another 25 feet down from the driveway, lying on the ground in a fetal position, semi-conscious. Ed drops everything, runs to her. Lorraine, what happened? What happened? Gets to her, she doesn't answer him. She's semi-conscious, like somebody hit her in the head slapped her in the head, and she had the flu or something, you know? She's just out of it.
Yeah.
Calls an ambulance and police. They get her, they bring her to St. Vincent's Hospital in Bridgeport. 3 days she's in the hospital. I saw her the next day after this happened. She didn't even recognize Judy or me. She's like just in and out, almost like a semi-coma almost. The doctors did brain scans, all kinds of tests. So I said, Ed, what's wrong with Lorraine? He goes, you know what, the doctors can't tell me. They said they can't find anything wrong. I told, that's kind of strange. He goes, yeah, it is strange. The third day, she snaps out of it. She's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I want to go home. Okay, you can go home, Mrs. Warren. We can't find anything wrong. She goes home. So the following day, I met Ed in the museum here. I said, Ed, can I look at that idol again that you just got? So we go look at it. And as we're looking at it, Ed says, I know what happened. Because I asked him, I said, what happened to Lorraine? He goes, I know what happened. The doctors didn't have to tell me. They didn't know anyway. He said, but I know what it was. I said, what? He said, that G.D. son of a... And he gave me the guy's name. It's his fault. He did that to Lorraine as a warning to me. He's talking about the high priest in the satanic cult. He gave me the guy's name. It's a German name, and the guy was German, from Germany, living here now. And I said, really, Ed? He goes, yeah, he's very powerful. He goes, I know a lot about all things positive and good, and he knows a lot of things, but all things negative and evil. He goes, we kind of cancel each other out. He goes, but I know that was a warning to me because I took his idol out of the woods. And then he said to me, here's what he said, and it kind of stuck with me. He said, I'm never going to tell you the guy's name again. I said, why, Ed? Why not? He goes, because that son of a... He gives me like that. That son of a... He goes, every time I mention his name, something bad happens. Just like that. That's how powerful Ed felt this guy was.
Dang. Wow.
About 6 months later, I'm talking to Ed, right? I said, hey, Ed, that guy, that satanic cult leader guy, what was his name again? I was testing Ed.
Yeah.
You know? I said, what was his name? He goes, I'm not going to tell you the guy's name. I says, come on, Ed. He goes, no. He goes, that son of a... And he said, that son of a B... Something bad happens every time I mention his name. I'll never mention his name again to you, but I remembered his name. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. Cause I'm not gonna mention it.
Now, for viewers at home, how are you related to them?
I'm their son-in-law. I'm married to Judy, which is their daughter, Judy. Ed and Lorraine had one child, Judy, and I met Judy in 1979 when I was a police officer cruising a small town in Bloomfield, Connecticut. And I happened to see her pass by my cruiser while I was parked, and she waved and smiled at me, and the rest is history. So
that's crazy, right?
That's a quick overview, guys, of this museum. I know that Dan's going to want to talk to you.
Okay. Is there anything you say how Dan should tell a story about this item?
Well, he should tell a story about the cases. That one, this is a big one here that I didn't tell you about. This is the dinosaur. That's the actual dinosaur toy from the Devil in Connecticut case. There's a book out called The Devil in Connecticut that you can get on Amazon, The Devil in Connecticut. And but that's the movie Conjuring 3 was based off that book.
Of that one.
And Arnie Johnson. And Arnie Johnson, by the way, is going to be at the Conjuring. I'm sorry, at the Phantasmicon. Arnie Johnson, the actual subject who was arrested for manslaughter and sent to prison for 5 years, he's going to be there and signing copies of the book Devil in Connecticut. That's the doll, the toy toy that David Glatzel had, and that toy slithered across the carpeting while everybody was watching, and a voice emanating from around this toy said in a gruff, deep, growly voice, "You are all going to die."
I remember on the film that happened too. So that's just crazy. This is the real one.
That's the actual doll. No, that's what I call
right
it
there. Yeah.
That's the actual toy, the dinosaur toy that somebody gave David Glatzel.
That's
crazy.
insane.
That's all to scare people. When that kind of stuff happens, that's the devil trying to scare the daylights out of people.
Right.
But David was possessed by a demonic entity. But I'll just tell you really quick.
Yeah, no.
Why did Arnie stab Alan Bono, which was Debbie Glatzel's boss, and Debbie Glatzel was Arnie Johnson's girlfriend? So why did he do it? You know why? Because about a week or two prior, Arnie could tell the story better. A lot of stuff was happening to David Glatzel in the house, 11 years old at the time. Arnie, who was 18 at the time, cocky, you know, he used to work out and stuff. He said, he stands in the middle of the room and he says, "Stop it. Stop attacking that kid. He's just a kid. If you want to challenge somebody, challenge me." That was his big mistake, challenge me. It's almost like the Mura, calling on spirit. He called on whatever was there. He says, "Take me on." He said, "Take me on, I'm a man." It wasn't, what, a week or so later that this happened with the stabbing. And it was said that Arnie can't remember anything that happened. All he remembers is being in the backyard. He saw Alan Bono. The next thing he remembers is waking up in custody in handcuffs. He remembers nothing of the incident.
That's insane.
And that was because he was temporarily taken over by the demonic force.
What was your most craziest activity, maybe with one of these museum objects being here, that you can remember? Did anything ever happen to you that was bad?
Yeah, well, the doll, what happened with me was the doll's eyes moved, went back and forth like this while I was giving a tour. So I knew the doll was active, because people were saying, "Well, the doll's not active anymore, is it?" I'm like, "No, it hasn't done much." And right after I said that, the doll's eyes moved left and right. So there's something behind that doll.
The Annabelle doll?
The Annabelle.
Yeah, the actual
That
Annabelle
doll.
doll, yeah. So I know there's still something. That's why we keep her in a case, and we have regularly a Catholic priest come out and bless the museum and all the objects, and he does a binding prayer.
Like, what do you say, like
Every
once
month?
a year?
Every month.
So would you say like these objects are now like at least safer?
I'd say they're dormant.
Right.
I say they're stable.
Right. Yeah.
We keep them stable by those prayers. You know, it's almost like the electronic dog fences, where a dog can only go so far. Well, these binding prayers
is helping.
Keeps that evil at bay. It can only go so far. You know what I mean?
Right. So you wouldn't want to destroy these objects. You want to keep them.
Because if you destroy the objects, you're destroying the vessel only. Okay. You're not destroying the spirit that's inside of it. Just like if someone gets murdered, you're destroying the body.
Right, but
you don't destroy the soul. The soul never dies.
Never thought of it that way.
Your soul never dies. So these spirits are energy. They're spirits. They're evil spirits. Their energy never goes away, never dies. Any energy that God creates never dies. So, with that, I think I'm going to go get Dan for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome, guys.
That's a story.
Wow.
We're ready for
This is crazy.
See? What do you think, Radek?
Man, this is like the movies. It's like The Conjuring, and you're like here, you know?
We're in the fucking Conjuring movies, but we're here.
Man.
What do you think from all that set? That was a lot to take in.
My main thing is just like I can't get over how many items are in this room.
Every item's a story.
Exactly what I was going to say. How every single item in this room has its own story from its own investigation from different places all over the world. By two of the most famous investigators and researchers that...
Of all time.
Yeah, of all time.
So really quick, before the guy who actually creates these casings of the dolls and the objects to protect them, how do you feel about being in here?
I mean, I don't feel any weird vibes, which is kind of surprising, because normally I do, but I don't know. It's just a little off.
Oh yeah, it's unsettling when you're being surrounded by some of the most haunted artifacts in the world.
Yeah, and like honestly, I'm just scared to touch anything.
Oh no, 100%.
Like my leg accidentally bumped this little coffin, and I kind of had a panic attack. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? No, it's true. It's true. Like I told him something on his video on like something that I kind of felt off, which I'm just too embarrassed to say on mine. But besides that, like, I don't want to touch a single freaking thing in here. And usually I'm a guy that would like not care to touch something. I don't want to touch nothing. I don't want to back into anything. I'm actually generally freaked out to do any of that. I actually just want to kind of keep my guard up and kind of just interview the people, learn about everything, and just go on my merry way, because I really don't want bad luck. And I generally feel like if I touch something, I could have bad luck, actually. So just kind of keep that good. All right, you're going to come in. All right.
Hey, what's going on?
So, what's your name? Because you're the guy that's like literally made the Annabelle case.
Yeah,
and
I built multiple cases that are in here. My name is Dan Rivera. I'm the NASPR Senior Lead Investigator. I work with the traditional Catholic Church as well, which I take on cases the same as Ed and Lorraine would have done in the past. And if the church needs to be involved, I'll have to go to the priest and tell them about the situation, about the case, and then sometimes we bring the clients to them, or they'll come out to the clients.
Well,
So,
I didn't know that still happens. I know, like back in the day, that was like that was a thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't know.
we're still doing it. Last year or a couple of years ago, even we had about maybe 7 exorcisms performed. So last couple of years been pretty busy with that.
I didn't even know. Is that something that can be filmed? Like, could I shadow you?
The priest, the Catholic Church. This is not it's not Second Vatican Roman Catholic Church. This is
Okay.
First Vatican traditional Catholic priest that performs the exorcisms, and they don't like exorcisms to be videotaped.
Okay. Would you ever let me shadow you just off camera for one? Just
I doubt if even the priest will let you
Right,
in there.
yeah, no, that
There's
makes
like
sense.
even I have to take special precautions.
Right.
If I want to be a part of the exorcism,
Right.
I have to fast for a week. I have to go to confession. I have to go to mass.
oh, there's a lot to it.
There's a
Yeah, I
lot
couldn't
to
even-
it to be in the same room
Right.
while that's going
That
on.
makes sense. That's
That's
I didn't
why
even know
they don't
there's
like a
still-
lot of people from the outside, because if
They're not
somebody's under,
prepared.
because somebody's under possession, if the demon leaves that person's body and it finds another weak link in the room, it could jump into that person,
For sure.
you know, and then something might not happen that very moment, but weeks later they could be inflicted by something.
Oh yeah, no, that sounds super scary.
Right.
I don't want that.
So-
You brought up something you're gonna go. You said something about the sword.
Oh, the satanic sword. If you guys,
Yeah, I would love to see.
and I call this area right here, this is the satanic area here. So if we come and zoom in over here,
Yeah.
I don't know if Tony showed you this.
Nope, he did not.
But these are satanic rituals and how they were performed their rituals out in the woods.
Is this during like the Satanic Panic era around
This
here?
is
like
around the
Bridgewater?
70s, yeah.
Yep.
So this is around the 70s era around there. Also, like I said, these were fertility rituals that they would do, blood rituals they would perform as well. Where, you know, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, what kind of
Yeah.
rituals they performed, but it's drinking the blood of the innocent. So, for instance, if a child, if you scare a young child, say between, you know, birth all the way up to age 6,
Yeah.
and you get their adrenaline pumped up so much, what they will do is, I'll show you.
Yeah, please.
This is kind of the knife that they would use
Whoa.
in satanic sacrifices. So they'll get their adrenaline running so high in these children, and then they will slit their throats while their adrenaline's so high, and they will drink their blood. And that blood is pretty much to them is the fountain of youth, and it gives them power and strength.
Holy.
So people, those are parts of satanic rituals, blood rituals, fertility rituals.
These pictures, people documented them.
Yeah, they were all documented.
Whoa. Well, I'll have Radix.
So
zoom
then this
in
one's a
on.
really interesting one over there. These are fertility rituals that they would perform.
Jesus.
So yeah.
And that's one of the swords used to do that, you
I
think?
believe this is one of them where Ed collected. So you have the satanic Bibles here, which
Oh,
that-
I've never seen one of these.
right.
Looking at
So
that.
these are satanic ritual booklet. This is satanic Bible. Actually, I got this from a case in North Haven, Connecticut, where this kid was dabbling in satanic rituals. Actually, it was on a TV show, but they didn't come across that this kid was dabbling in satanic rituals, which was affecting his family, and I caught up on it. And I told the kid to come. I wanted to talk to him because there was something in his room.
Yeah.
And I asked him, "What's in your room?" And after talking to him for a while, he went into his room and pulled out the satanic Bible and was telling us about the rituals he was performing, which was affecting the family with poltergeist activity in the house. So the show that filmed there, they didn't want that to be aired because it had nothing to do with what was really going on in the house. But they signed the contracts and the show still aired.
Wow.
So that will be used in satanic rituals as well. This sword was sent to us because the person it was given to started experiencing phenomenon in his house, which this would be used is pretty much the same as this sword here. I'll pick it up again.
It's almost a mini
almost
one
the
of that
same
one.
Of that one.
God.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
look at that.
That would be used in rituals.
Damn.
Jeez.
All right. So those are the kind of things. Sorry.
So
Those are the
where'd you
kind
get
of
that
things.
sword?
A gentleman sent this from out west to us, because it was wreaking havoc on him and his family. So he thought about us and said, hey guys, will you take this off my hands? And he actually made the case for it and shipped it to us.
Wow.
So now it sits in our museum.
The fact that he even made a case for it, like a guy who doesn't make cases, like I'm making this case, get this out of here. Yep. That shows that it's legit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there had to be some kind of like negative energy attached to it.
Of course.
If you want to get rid of it so bad.
That bad, yeah.
Right, so you see me touching these items, but also I was trained by Lorraine, in which Ed, you know, that knowledge was placed upon me to handle these objects in the museum.
Right, so what would you do? Let's say you touched Annabelle doll. What would you do after that? To like...
Oh, there's holy water here. I bless myself after I leave the museum, just to make sure there's no attachments that are following me outside of the museum. Which, Annabelle is a different story. That doll affected me many times.
What would you say your worst? Like, let's say this, because Tony didn't say what happened when the doll finally got here. He said he left out things. He was waiting for other people to want to bring up those stories. Like, he thinks maybe people died after from that doll, even when it was
we can move to the doll and then I can explain the story.
Yeah.
Usually activity picks up every time I talk about religious provocation, either the doll or the story, the backdrop of this doll.
What kind of activity starts to happen?
Oh, I've been recorded while I'm talking about protection, how I built the case. It will sound like I'm talking underwater. It's kind of weird. We had other people come in here and experience the same thing when it will be picked up on their audio and thinking there's something wrong with their mics. Jeez. So I'll just give you a heads up on that.
Yeah.
So anyways, with this doll, my connection with this doll, back around 1980, there was a gentleman that came in here. I was probably 8 years old at the time. I had no connection with the Warrens at that time. There was a gentleman that came in here and was knocking on the glass and, you know, provoking Annabelle and said, you know, if you're real, you should put scratches on me, do something to me. Ed saw that what he was doing and told the gentleman, you need to leave.
Yeah, get out of there.
So he kicked the gentleman out with his girlfriend, and a couple hours later, he got into a motorcycle accident and went straight on into a tree and died. Now here's my connection. Here's my connection to this doll. 8 years old. It was a Saturday morning. I went on a route with my father. My father used to deliver pastries and breads to the local diners and country clubs. And the Monroe Diner was our last stop, and this was probably around noon or so. We made that stop over there, and we started heading back home down Route 25. We saw a motorcycle pass us. It was a gentleman riding a motorcycle. He didn't have a helmet. The girl, his girlfriend behind us, I remember her. She was holding the bar behind the motorcycle, and he's flying right by us, and my father says, Dan, they're gonna get into an accident. We get to the end of the Route 25 connector that merges with Route 8. We saw the motorcycle laying on the side of the road, flipped over. We didn't see the gentleman. He went right into the wood line, and all we saw was his girlfriend on the side of the road just holding her head and bleeding. And she ended up in the hospital for a couple months, and she went into a coma. Not knowing that I saw that accident, I witnessed it, and my connection, that was my connection to Annabelle. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm here with the Warrens. I work for the Warrens, senior lead investigator, taking on the cases, handling this doll, which I built this case.
Yeah, would you explain, like, how'd you do it? Like, what's the precautions and things like that?
Yeah, we heard
with all your dolls.
Rituals with it, like.
Oh yeah, there's ritual prayers that we perform. So behind this case is Ed's original case.
Right. So
I made this case since they closed the museum down because zoning reasons, and we decided, how could we still educate the public and let them know that evil does exist? So I built this traveling case here to house Annabelle. Almost looks a little bit like Ed's case, but I added a couple extra protection items here. So you'll see there's a crucifix here and one on each side, which represents the Trinity. There's three of them, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The stain that I used is infused with holy oil and holy water. Behind the felt, behind Annabelle, is the Lord's Prayer scribed into the wall.
Oh,
behind Annabelle.
Oh, right. So you can't see it because it's behind her, right?
It's behind there. So that's added protection to bind this evil to this case. Also, when we moved her, before we moved her, we performed a binding ritual prayer to contain her within inside the case. Also, I went to the church, had a blessing done on myself before I handled this doll.
Right.
Not to say, you know, that was my protection from being harmed by this doll, but there was times where I did move this doll. It was the first thing that happened to me, and I never put two and two together, but I was called onto a case in Stratford, Connecticut, and this lady said, Dan, you have to come over here. You have to get this out of my house. And I said, well, I don't know if I could get out of your house, but I'll go over there and try to help you. Well, I'm at a red light at a four-way intersection.
Yeah.
Not paying attention with the traffic lights. My car did not move, but all three cars from all the other directions came right into me.
What?
Totaled my car. I mean, blew out the windows, everything. I walked out of that accident without a scratch. And that was my first experience with this doll because I moved her. And then there was other times when I moved this doll, I would lose another car. Engine blowing on one car.
So it's always crashes.
It's always, it had to do with me, it's cars. And my wife told me, said, Dan, have you noticed that every time you move this doll, you lose a vehicle? And I said, oh, maybe I should stop moving her. But anyways, I do this because I want to educate the public. Kind of funny, we had another group here last week, and I was talking about the doll. I got a 1968 Chevelle that I just restored. And I go outside, my lights are on in the car, like the headlights, brake lights are on and everything. I couldn't shut them off. I start the car up, shut the car off, put the lights, and that car doesn't have a computer. It's just all switches.
Yeah.
So it was like a Christine moment. Tony looked at me and says, Dan, you think it was a doll? I'm like, what the fuck? Here goes, I don't want to lose my car. Right. But anyways, I thought that was kind of weird. But that's the whole backstory of this doll here, how I created this case. And, you know, when we're taking it to the Paracon, this way we can educate the public that evil does exist. This doll is real. The demon that in this doll is real, and the precautions we take. So if you guys want to check it out, come to the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural Phantasmicon, and we'll have the doll on display with multiple items, and I'll speak about a couple other items that I built cases for. But yeah, you go to nespr.ticketbud.com, purchase your tickets. You'll be able to view this doll. Friday night I have a midnight show, which is interesting because I'll have these cases on stage with me, hour-long show, and explain everything that I just explained now, but also I'll have paranormal equipment throughout the stage laid out to see if anything does go off while I'm describing what's going on.
That's gonna be cool.
And then we could just talk about it, or if something comes through the Ovilus or spirit box or whatever, you know, I think it will be kind of interesting. Then it would prove to the audience that something's attached to this item.
Wow.
So over here, I can talk about this case. This was actually a child's, I don't know if Tony talked about this either. This is a child's coffin. What they used this coffin back in the turn of the century, people that couldn't afford a proper burial for their young child, they would rent this coffin from the funeral home, transport the baby to the funeral, have the services, then remove the child, put him in another box, either it could be a cardboard box or wooden, you know, pine box, and bury the child. So this was just used for display and transportation. The doll that's in there, she's, I call her Peggy, which that doll wreaked havoc on the family, which that doll was given to us. Strange things would be happening around the house. A child that was playing with her, you know, how kids do like tea time and everything.
Right.
The doll was actually moving in the room, and the mother noticed it as well, and she would hear these noises and children laughing during the middle of the night. So that doll was also given to us. So before Debbie had passed away, I did not know that she had cancer, and she made me a set of rosaries. So when I went on a case, that these rosaries will protect me. And she said, Dan, do me a favor, could you build a case for the dinosaur? And she had passed away and she never saw the case. So I built a case in honor of her, put the rosaries she gave me and put them around the dinosaur, so my protection became your protection.
Right.
So this protects the general public of any harm. So one of the sayings are, accept the existence of the devil, Ed Warren. And then I put the same thing with the crucifixes, Lord's prayers on each side, and the crucifix in the center. So the same protection.
Like the Annabelle doll.
Like the Annabelle doll that I made for this case. So it's a little bit different than Annabelle doll, but it's the same concept as for protection.
Wow.
And we also did an investigation in this museum when we had the SLS camera on this object, and you saw the stick figure jump from this object into the Annabelle case.
Did that like cause any theories that you guys might have about like what is inside or?
Well, here's the thing on nothing human can inhabit these items.
Right.
These are all demonic entities that inhabit these items to trick you.
Right.
Especially a child, you know, this item starts moving around, the child thinks that's pretty cool, and it gets to them and it says, oh, my item's real, you know, they start playing with it more to give it an identity, they give it a name. Same with the Annabelle doll, you give it an identity, you're giving it strength. So it's trickery. So you really don't know where the activity is coming from in this room because it bounces around, and it might affect him. It might not affect you, but he might think there's something innocent in this room. But it's not innocent, it's just trying to play with him. All right, and it's trying to drag him in to be emotionally attached to what's going on in here. So that's where you need to be careful.
So it's like, let's say there's something still evil about this, it will pick and choose who it's easier to get into.
Right. So if you have any personal issues that you're going through in your life, or it could be, you know, in your past, you might have been, you had a drug addiction, anything. Or if you're having like a bad relationship with your girlfriend, it still weakens you and you become a target.
Right.
All right, because at that moment, your faith is low, your strength is low, and you know, you don't have the will to fight. So that's how it targets you.
Would you say, let's say if someone's super low and they came in this museum, that they could get maybe hurt
all
if they
those
left?
negative vibrations will go right to
in
them.
you, right? Even still now, even
today, now,
now,
I wouldn't even allow them in the museum, knowing if they had those, you know, attachments.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes when you go into a haunted location.
For sure.
It might not be something that's affecting you from that location. It might be your attachments that you're bringing into that location, and it's amplifying that.
Right.
So when people say, "Oh, that never happened here before," well, there might be a reason why that never happened before, because it never came from this house. It came from another location you were at. And I'm sure you probably guys experienced that probably on all the investigations you went on.
Yeah,
all the time.
Everything's different. That makes sense.
So those are things about the supernatural and, you know, the unknown. I mean, it's all trickery.
So is any of these artifacts like haunted in any way? These ones?
These right here, that's a Halloween prop, the mummy.
Right.
But then the Ouija boards, tarot cards were all used in rituals. I have a couple of Ouija boards that were given to me. Old man, 78 years old, gave it to me. It's like, oh, I finally got to get rid of this. I mean, my whole life has been chaos.
Yeah.
The guy, I mean, there's certain people that you try to help, but they had like mob connections and stuff like that that I can't even talk about, and the things that they experienced. But we have some of those artifacts that they had, which they were performed their rituals on their enemies. Yeah.
Anything else you want to ask?
I'm fucking flabbergasted right now, bro. Like,
no, that's how I feel.
It's a lot of information to take in. And like when we do these investigations and stuff, we're also learning a lot.
No,
right now too.
it's crazy because even some of the things you were just saying about the demons and how like it could affect people or different energy from that, I'm like, oh wow, this makes kind of sense. Like I'm thinking about how like people can feel a little bit different about something when they go into a haunted place compared to others. I'm like, that makes sense.
Well, here's the thing, and you guys and the older generation,
right?
In order for us to continue passing on that knowledge. Not that I'm using guys, but I have to use you to pass that knowledge to the younger generation. Because if they don't know, all they're going to know is the movie characters of Ed and Lorraine, not knowing who Ed and Lorraine was or who we are in continuing the work.
And this is exactly why I wanted to make this video.
Yep.
This is the exact same reason why I was like, I don't know if that many people really did an in-depth documentary of the people, the team, and the place here. Like an in-depth one. I was like, I wanted to do one. We wanted to do it. We wanted to just come here and do that. That's what we wanted to do.
Your generation, they don't watch TV. They don't listen to the radio.
Right.
Okay? I have to go to them. So I have to go to YouTube. I have to go to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, wherever I could go to spread that message. So it's a new way of doing things, but I think, not putting anybody down, but I call this the lost generation, which they were documented, you know, whatever, and taught only one way. And, you know, I would like to have them look outside of the box and see what's really going on in life today, because it's all deception. And they got to understand what they're doing is evil. It's created, and it seems normal to them because that's the way they were raised in this environment. So our job as demonologists, we have to recognize evil. We have to expose it. And the demonic does not like to be exposed, because once it's exposed, they get sloppy. Once they get sloppy, people start opening their eyes and what's really going on. I'll end it as that.
Damn.
That's so ominous, bro.
Damn, thank you, bro.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, that's the only way we could pass that message on.
Yeah, no,
you know,
you're speaking the truth, seriously.
Ed had it and Lorraine had it, doing it a different way. I mean, they had television, they had radio.
Yeah, they were on the news.
They were on the news.
Yeah.
You know, today's different. We have social media, different apps, and how, you know, the younger generation communicates.
No, here's
what's
a
that?
question.
Fake news and fake articles and stuff.
It's all over us, and people are like using the media against each other, which the media is part of the problem because they've been bought out. Right. And you know,
I have one question.
People end up disappearing, but you know what? I mean, if we don't stand up and fight, not only one man could cure this. It takes a nation. It takes people to get back where we need to be.
All right.
I agree.
So one question is, now there's more Conjuring House movies coming out, well, in that universe.
Yeah.
Is it from any of the objects within this museum that we're in right now?
From the Conjuring House?
Yeah.
I believe there is a nail that was taken from the Conjuring House, where the whole story with Bathsheba killing the children. That would be the nail that came from the Conjuring House.
That's cool. So that's an item from the Conjuring House.
That's an item from the Conjuring House. Doesn't mean that's the same nail that Bathsheba used.
Exactly.
Even, like I said, you know, there's theories about Bathsheba, you know, that, you know, she wasn't really, you know, evil.
What's your opinion on that? If
God,
get into it.
That's more personal.
Yeah, I know.
That has to do with the environment and the people that move into the house.
Right.
That may have caused activity to, you know, escalate. But there's not the proof there because the family doesn't talk about it. So why should I say anything bad about a family when I don't have that documentation?
Right, that makes sense.
But my theories are usually people caused the haunting because they have attachments or they created this environment.
Right. So in your theory, just bringing this up for the Conjuring House, who do you think threw that person across the room? What do you think the evil came from?
Only a demonic presence could throw somebody across the room, that strength. But there's a lot of activity on that land prior to the houses even being built on that property with the Native American.
Right.
Also, there's Indian medicine circles on the property with rocks formed in a circle where Indians used to perform rituals within that circle.
Exactly.
So if you go outside by the kitchen area, you'll see the circle of rocks there.
Yeah, I didn't know that's what that was for.
Those were purposely placed there by the Native Americans where they used to hold rituals. Also in the middle of the yard, there's another circle pattern as well. And there are people buried out in the backyard over there
yes, there is.
So yeah, it doesn't mean that all came
There's a lot of theories
from the house itself or Bathsheba. I think there's so much energy there. Like I said, you know, when somebody comes in there and they have attachments, it amplifies that energy and that property. It could be from abuse, like I said, drugs, alcohol, you know, anything that amplifies it, and it makes the people in the house see things, feel things, or even do things. So I leave it as that.
All right. One last question. Is there any item in here that's going to be used in a different movie still to come?
I think this Conjuring movie, it might be the last rites, the Conjuring 4.
And it's not out yet, right?
It's not out yet. Probably in the next couple of years it'll be out.
All right. What is it going to be on?
Still can't reveal that right now because Hollywood still hasn't disclosed that yet. But it'll be an interesting case, I'm sure.
And it's going to be, what object is it on here?
It doesn't mean it's going to be placed on a certain object here. I think it was a case. Usually they do spin-offs. I don't know what the spin-off would be.
Right. Yeah, because
But
they got the Nun 2 out.
They got the Nun 2 coming out
And
in
is
September.
that based on any object or anything? The Nun 2?
Not really object, maybe a location.
Like a story.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
but it doesn't mean that that
Right.
item's in here.
Okay.
That's connected to the Nun.
Figured I just, you know.
But it's pretty cool how they pieced things together with
Yeah.
the first Nun. They threw Maurice in there.
Yep.
Which Maurice was a case that Ed and Lorraine worked out on in Warren, Massachusetts, where the gentleman became possessed, and as a young child, he saw his father in the acts of bestiality.
Wow.
And for his punishment for seeing that and not telling on his father, he made his son perform those same acts.
Okay.
So the son got into Satanism and performing rituals, which he became possessed and had this superhuman strength. And Ed had helped him out. There was exorcisms performed. He was free for a while. And one night, Ed gets a call left on this machine. He was at a lecture, and it was Maurice saying, "Ed, it's happening again. You have to come here." 12 o'clock at night, Ed returns home with Lorraine from the lecture. They go to their answer machine. They hear Maurice. They call back the house, and the Warren Police Department picks up the phone and said Maurice shot his wife and also blew his head off. And his father died the same way.
And
blew his head off.
And you believe a lot of these cases are not from mental health issues, but more from these objects that we're in right now today.
Right. These objects are used as conduits to get to you.
Right.
To get you emotionally attached to them, and then they wreak havoc on your life.
Wow.
Because the demonic wants to destroy the human form.
Yeah.
Because we're created, in our belief, and that's how any SPR is created, through religious faith, through God. That's how we help people. And the demonic doesn't like us helping people. But they use these objects as tools to destroy the human soul.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
It's a whole nother
It's another
world, dimension, universe to even think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that something that is not even like us has so much more power over us in that way. At
we
least.
can't even see it.
Right. And I think they were at one point, if you think in earlier times, in biblical times, the fallen angels, that was God's first creation.
Yeah.
And then God created the humans. And the angels didn't like it because they became jealous of us. And God said, why would you be jealous of my creation? You're also my children. And he cast them out of heaven. And that's what you call the fallen angels.
Right.
And which is, there's other stories that there's books that never made it into the Bible where they said these angels, when he cast them to hell was on earth. They made it with the human form and created the Nephilim, which were the giants. And the giants, the story about the giants, that they would eat the human flesh.
Wow.
All right. So when the great flood happened with Noah, that was God cleansing the earth of the Nephilim.
Wow. Thank you.
All right.
So guys, right here is actually Ed's office, and I'm going to kind of take you through. Right now, it's obviously cluttered with different things, but it's still his office. And if the history, it's just insane to me to think about. But even going in is his old cassette tapes and Sony stuff. And do you think he would use these to listen back for EVPs and things?
Absolutely. He taped all his interviews with the family members that he went and investigated, all the haunted houses, and he would come back and put them on there, and he would just listen to them, sit in his chair and listen to it.
Dude, that's insane. That's all these right here, but look, he has his other ones here. Right there too. This is just listening back with audio. He has books.
I mean, if you think about it, he sat there with his Amityville, cases, the Conjuring case. He sat here. He sat here doing all those big cases that we all know about right here. So it's crazy.
No, that's what I mean. The history of it is amazing. Some of his stuff in the back. So like you said, not you actually, but your other teammates. They were both painters and artists. Right.
That's how they got into a lot of haunted houses early on.
And would that be some of the stuff they painted right in the back too?
Yep.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
You see them around the museum.
Yeah. This is really cool. I can't go too far. So we're all cluttered right now, but it's still amazing to see. Look at that. Even their pictures in the back. That's Tony up there with them. Oh, look at this one right here. Is that a real magazine by them, or was that like
Yeah,
a...
no, that was an actual magazine.
What? I didn't even know that. That's awesome. Wait, Incredible Chair of Death? Look at that. Just a lot of their, you know, their work all here. That's why I like it, because everyone, including everyone like them and Tony, they take it so serious. Like, their legacy lives on. Conjuring House, the movies, they're making films on their stuff. Like, this is the real deal that we're in right now. And that's why it's just so incredible, even as a, you know, ghost hunting now for like how many years? Like 3, 4, and be able to walk in here after finally doing the Conjuring House, starting it off. I mean, if it wasn't for the Conjuring House, even Seth knows, we wouldn't even be here.
No way.
We wouldn't be ghost hunting or hanging out or even knowing anyone, because we were just still doing abandoned and traveling.
Right. And
It was-
I don't think we ever would have taken that next step, but we did.
We did.
And now we're here.
And we're looking right at the Annabelle face to face, actually.
I've been staring at the eyes because of the...
But yeah.
But like, you know, nothing's happened yet.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to focus too much of your attention on there.
Yeah, they say it's bad, right? Like,
Yeah,
to
it's
look at
not-
him in the
it's-
eyes.
Yeah, you don't want to give too much attention to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could glance at it, but I wouldn't sit there and concentrate on it.
And give it that mental energy, right?
that recognition or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a... It's weird.
Don't it feel weird in here?
It does. It does.
Like, when you go into a haunted place, you know you can
Yeah.
get those kind of vibes, but like, I mean, I'm not getting it like any like negative feeling. I just know that like it feels different outside than it does in here.
Yeah, the energy is definitely a bit different when you go out here and here.
Oh, it's definitely different. I mean,
Yeah.
it's heavy.
It is. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. You don't get used to it either. I mean, we come in and out of here, you know, once, twice a week, and it's still the same every time you come in. And you can't. I mean, there's holy water right at the door, so you know.
Yeah, and
we
even
use that coming in and leaving.
Yeah, and exactly. Even off camera, he gave me the holy water. It's not like it's a joke. He literally gave me, and we used it just to step foot out. Right. Like, this was even off camera when we were coming back in here. So, it's serious. You know.
Now that I've stepped back in, I'm gonna do it again.
You gonna step back out and come back in?
Oh no, I'm gonna put the water on again.
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, hell yeah, we are gonna do that. But man, to see this doll up close, to me, is just like surreal.
Now, serious question.
Yeah.
Which one's creepier? The movie one or the real one?
Well, you know, the movie one is used for the movie, so they're gonna make it look really messed up. And yeah, that is a creepy dang doll.
Yeah, it is.
Imagine that in your house in the dark corner and you see that doll.
I'd rather not.
Exactly, I would rather not. I mean, that is not a good sight. But it's so weird, you know? It's like what everyone said. This doll and a lot of these artifacts is just accidentally bought inside like yard sales, just places.
Right.
Didn't even know they were haunted. They take them home and it ruined them. And that's what's crazy about it. You know, that's the craziest thing I feel.
That it's like actually that stuff actually happens.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you think twice about buying stuff.
I was just gonna say, so be careful about what you do in the paranormal.
Exactly. But man, that is something. This is for you guys at home. There you go. You're face to face with them too. All right, we moved away. Not any closer, just in case. Yes. And even now, right? So we've been in here since what time do you think we've been in here?
Oh, geez, it's been it feels like a couple hours.
At 3, right?
Yeah, it's been longer than that. So.
3 and a half?
Yeah, maybe.
3.5 hours we've been in here, size, and we're still finding new things in here. We're still finding like this haunted one right here, or then the one in the back. Like, I didn't even see any of these artifacts, and they all, or most of them, have some sort of meaning or history behind them. A lot of them we just don't know. And one thing we just learned now, even after tours, is when the people during the Satanic Panic, they would put on some of these masks. Some of them are actually worn during satanic rituals. He didn't tell me which one, but some of them were worn to scare the kids before like sacrifices or whatever. Right here on this desk. And that's...
I didn't even hear him say that.
Yeah, dude.
That's terrifying.
That's messed up.
I was over here filming this doll like this, and I could see this one staring at me in my peripheral, and I was getting freaked out. Can you imagine during a ritual? You're like 12 years old,
Yeah.
And some grown man or woman is like
Yeah.
trying to sacrifice you with the red devil mask on or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so messed up.
It's crazy to think about, man.
It is. It is, and this is the tour. Just so you guys know, because I know you guys have been seeing videos or want to know, this is the actual place. So again, like, it's not as big as you would think. It's so packed with so many artifacts. It's just a heating hub of dark energy within this field. Honestly, it's maybe a garage for like 4 cars to line up with extra space on the sides. That's what this room is. Oh, that's so sick, bro. I just noticed this too. Come here from The Conjuring.
I seen the guy.
That's so cool. I did not even see that.
That's awesome.
That's what I mean. There's way too much things. Oh, this. All right. So this was a crazy one right here. Look at this one. And I'm not gonna say anything. Just read it and look. That is a real skull. So, you know what I mean? So since you're here, what's the artifact that you like or you know that's not really like talked about? That's maybe like I would have seen it.
Oh, let's see.
Because there's a lot. Really is a lot.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. I mean, the Flight 401.
He said that one to me.
He talks about that one, but that's one of my favorites because it's got a cool story behind it.
It does.
And the Pearls of Death are...
Yep, he told me about the Pearl of Death. What is this one? Is that anything like... Or is that just like... It was just used to conjure evil spells? Like literally what it said.
Some of these stories, unfortunately, left with Ed.
Okay,
yeah.
But, that makes sense.
But yeah, Tony could probably tell you more about about that.
Yeah, Tony was really obviously knowledgeable in a lot of things he was saying here, so he would know.
He knows everything.
Yeah.
He knows everything.
For sure. Well, guys, we are done. They're shutting the lights off. We're getting our bags. And we're going to be ending this video. But this is it in the dark. No lights, no nothing. Oh!
Going dark.
It's freaky. It's freaky. Lights on. Oh my god. Lights off. Lights on. Oh no. Let's get out of here.
Or before we go.
Yeah, please.
All right.
I'm gonna grab my bag.
It's our tradition.
Whatever.
Everyone
so
leaves.
like when everyone leaves, you all put it on yourselves and stuff?
Yep. Anytime you leave the museum.
Makes sense. I mean, we did just walk around with a bunch of demonic
Yeah.
things all around
Energy
us.
all around us.
This ain't no SK Pierce or any random spot.
Dude,
you know what I
even
mean?
SK Pierce, we walked out and they gave us holy water because that was an experience.
How long ago was that?
Oh, dude, like
maybe a year ago.
Yeah, 2
What
years.
was it, Miriam?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, we love her. She makes us good. What's that pumpkin apple pie moonshine?
Yeah, we gave her a table too. So.
Oh, that's
sick.
good.
Hey.
Yo, we're gonna see Mary.
You guys are gonna see everybody.
Yo,
Link in the
that's so
description, baby.
sick.
Right. Oh,
Hey, Team New England though.
With her. It was actually pretty cool. We did on the 3rd level. She was getting crazy.
Oh
shit.
shit! Yo, he's scared. That scared me. That scared me
We
actually.
did an Estes method with her, and dude, it was crazy with her.
Yeah.
Dang. All right.
Shit, man.
Well, let's get the.
Well, yeah, you want to do it now?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so see your hand. Make the sign of the cross.
Just on my anywhere? On my forehead?
Yep, you can do that. That's fine. That's good. That's good. Sign the cross.
I'll take some of that too.
And you go here first.
Up.
Sign
Middle
of the
child.
cross.
Yep.
The Son and the Holy Spirit.
And then amen.
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 Oh, that's a lot. I'm like leaking with holy water now.
That's a good thing.
Let's do this, and then amen.
You're safe now.
Yeah, I'm
All
safe.
Heck yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, good job.
No,
Thank you,
seriously,
man.
thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Seriously,
Thanks for coming
Thanks
out.
for having us.
it's a huge deal.
Oh, sorry, my hands are still
brother.
really wet from
Yeah.
holy water.
Yeah,
But
you
having us.
Thanks
It's
for
been
coming
a
out.
huge
Appreciate it.
deal.
Thank
It really means a lot.
No,
Yep.
for real.
yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, man.
Dang.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dang. This is nuts.
Got locked it back.
That just happened?
Dude, yeah, we were just at Ed Warren's office. We put our
We
bags.
actually just hang out with the real Annabelle
Oh
doll.
my god.
Yeah. Not just that, but also that shadow doll or whatever it was.
Yeah, the shadow doll.
We just, you know what we really just did, guys? We really just hung out with every piece of demonic, like, attachment, energy in one place. From Ed and Lorraine Warren, like,
What he just said is exactly why we're smiling, because it's a big deal, man. It was just so good. Hey, big shout out to them though.
Yeah.
And big shout out to the Warrens in general.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
coming out.
you.
That's
Shout out
it.
to Warrens for making that happen. Yeah.
Yep.
And let Tony know we said thank you as well.
Yeah, seriously, shout out to Tony as well, everyone. Link in the description down below for everyone here. The event, like we said, you'll be seeing us, you'll be seeing them, you'll be seeing Tony, all the items, Annabelle doll too. You'll be able to take pictures, hang out, have a good time. There's a lot more there, even besides us and the doll. There's other venues, drinks, food. You can gamble, you can do whatever you want. It's gonna be a good time, guys. So, peace out. Thanks for watching.